What's up, my YouTube fam? So I just got off the phone with my buddy, Acuminous Edge, Mark, and he wants me to test. We're about to do a video, some clips I'm gonna run together over the next few days of me testing a Socom Elite. He's way out in Cali. I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so the phones, man, sometimes they're kind of crazy talking that far of a distance. So I wasn't sure. Well, I am pretty sure. His phone was breaking up, but I know what he was trying to tell me to do. It's going to be really exciting because it's not just a standard Socom. We've got two Marfion Customs. This is a Damascus with the ray skin. This is a beautiful, beautiful blade. And then we've got another Marfion Custom, and that is the Abalone with the polished two-tone with the hand-rubbed flats, compound grind. And like I said, I couldn't understand everything he was saying, but I know I heard him say to test these and to abuse them and see what they can take. He buys a lot of these, and I know he's interested in knowing what they can do. So it kind of blew me away, man, that he wanted me to test these. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give it a shot. So we're gonna do some batoning. We're gonna go through some wood, some piping, some copper wire, all kind of stuff. We'll probably test the standard production Socom too, but I'm more excited to see what these can do, man. So hang in there. That's what's coming up. Okay, so obviously I'm not testing these two knives, okay? That was just a joke. Calm down, Mark. I know you're getting your phone out to dial Bama right now and hit up old BKG to let him know that's not cool. I'm just messing with you. For everybody else out there that I'm not messing with, I'm testing the Socom Elite. It's a production model, M390 blade. It's the black handled. It's around here somewhere. I'll have pictures up of it, and you're about to watch the video, so I don't need to go get it. But I'm gonna do some hardcore testing on it, man, some abuse. We're gonna be batoning it through some stuff, going through some wire, going through some piping, some wood, some sticks, some everything I can think of, man. I think I'm gonna chop it through some golf balls and some baseballs and just see what it can do. So that's what this video is about. Stay tuned. I don't know if I said it, but if I didn't, what's up, my YouTube fam? This is a video about a Microtech. This is a Microtech Socom Elite. This Microtech belongs to a friend of mine. His name's Mark. Some of you might know him better as Acuminous Edge. He sent me this knife to play around with and test, and then he had a great idea that he wanted me to beat the crap out of it, more or less, for lack of better words. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm having to shoot this video over a couple of days. I've been super, super busy. Been trying to get this posted up for a couple days. I've shot some of the clips, and some of the clips I'm gonna shoot tonight. The main clips I shot the other day, and then I may have to shoot some of them tomorrow. So I'm not sure what night you're gonna be seeing this. After we get done destroying the edge on this thing and breaking the tip off of it and doing all the things we're doing, I am then gonna do a sharpening video showing how to fix extreme damage on your knives. There's a lot of dudes out there who are scared to use their knives because they're afraid if they put a big chip in it, the knife is ruined. It's not. It is not ruined. That is not the end of the world. Like if you put a big giant chip in your knife, it's not a huge deal. So we're also gonna do that after we get done breaking it. We're gonna fix it, and then we'll probably break it some more. So cuts this pretty dang easy. Doesn't matter how many times you double it up. I mean, it's gonna cut right through it. I just wanted to do that. I mean, it just zips right through there. Just a few, just kind of cutting some things up here. And of course, that's no problem. Sorry, my dog's under the tripod here. You guys know he's always nearby. But yeah, this is no issue for a Socom Elite to be, you know, cutting through some sticks and whatnot. No big deal. And we did start this test, well, what I started yesterday. There's some of it that was prior to this, but all of it's started with a really sharp edge. Cut on through that, no problem. We'll do one more on that stick. Cut on through that, no problem. Here's some PEX pipe here, plastic. Zipped right through that. Zipped right through there. Zipped right through there. Oliver just stole that one. So this thing is I mean, the lockup is still completely solid. I did notice when I beat on it enough, I get a little bit of lock stick. Got a little dirt in it now, but nice and easy to disengage. No big deal. Golf ball. All right, Oliver, you can't have that, buddy. Zipped right on through that. I'm confused. There we go. Say, you golfers out there might know, Tech, something like that. Real golf ball. Definitely a real golf ball. Zipped right through that. Here's a pretty thick, you can compare it to the blade there, pretty thick stick. And I did a little skinning on it so you guys can see that's nice and live wood there. That's no dead wood or anything. I wish I could find my little rubber mallet. I lost it. Zipped through that. Zipped through that. One more on that one just for good measure. Because I love you. Acuminous edge. Baby! It is so solid. There is no movement. Disengagement perfect, lockup perfect, no failure on the lock. And I mean, guys, I'm not cutting this thing any slack. I'm beating the hell out of this knife. I mean, I'm hitting it as hard as I can. That zipped through pretty easy. That's a hard knot right there. That's what I want. There we go. That's what I want, nice and hard wood. My dog's going nuts chasing all these sticks and stuff around that I keep chopping in half. He's having, come on. He's having a lot of fun. Here's a piece of wood. Let's cut through this. That went through a lot easier than I thought it would. We'll go cross grain. We'll go across the grain. See what that does. There we go. Cut that baby all the way across. The grain runs that way. Obviously, you can tell by how easy it separates that way. That was cross the grain. And I mean, I'm cutting this thing no slack, guys. Look at that. I mean, cutting it no slack. Nary a slack. Anyway, you get my drift. You getting my drift. My drift. Baby. You know, Steve was right. This actually kind of feels good to do this. And Cumis was right too. He thought it would be fun too. He was like, "You're gonna love doing that." Told him I was a little sad And you know what's awesome, man? This thing is taking 0 edge damage. I did that on a nail, on a galvanized nail. And yeah, I did tip it. You'll get to see that footage too. I tipped just a ever so slight tip. Dang, my hands are dirty from doing all this. But this is where I'm doing everything, right here. And I mean, dude, I'm serious. There is no edge damage. That was a stupid thing to do on my part because I knew that damn nail was a hell of a lot harder than I thought it was. And I was like, let's just see. This tip was from driving it into a piece of wood pretty deep. And it was some like nice, hard, pressure-treated pine. And bending it, and it just popped the tip right off, which I expected. The Socom Elite gets rather thin rather quick right there at the tip. If I can stay focused here. I'm shooting this outside. It's sitting on the back of one of my four-wheelers, just kind of whatever. But yeah, it gets really thin really quick right there at that tip. So it popped off, which you guys will see that footage too. All right, I got this one started because I kept dropping it, but got it started in this extremely hard, tight grain wood. Mr. Woodland Tactical could probably tell you what kind of wood that is. I do not know, but it is a very tight grain, and it is some really, really hard stuff. So we're gonna drive it into that. Let's see if I'm in frame. Looks like I am close enough to in frame. I'm gonna catch it on the tip right here. I'm hitting it on the scales this time, right there at the lock, right there at the pivot. And back to the tip. Oh yeah, baby. Freaking edge still looks fine, man. Look at that. Edge still looks fine. Come on, focus, baby. I mean, it doesn't even feel coarse. That's so crazy. I think a lot of it has to do with edge geometry. This thing is so thin behind the edge. If you're chopping something flat and round, like a nail, like I did, that's right there and puts a lot of pressure on one little spot, and it's at least close to the hardness of this, because of the edge geometry of this being so tiny and so thin, and it being such a small pressure point, and the nail being round and having a lot more surface area, this gives before the nail did. Even though the nail was not as hard as this still gave first. And I think that's due to edge geometry. The lockup, look at this, man. The lockup is incredible. And I mean, dude, I wish I could portray this on camera. There is no movement, up, down, side to side. I mean, nothing. I might be able to feel the tiniest little bit up and down, but it is so tight. I mean, everything's still, centering is still perfect. I mean, it's hard to tell now that the tips broke off, but I'm kind of, I went from being not as impressed to being a little impressed. Let me chop through a piece of this pipe right here right quick. That just pops it, explodes it in half. Cool, man. All right, so yeah, not bad at all. I mean, that is some hard stuff. That is some really hard wood, and I'm just freaking wailing away on it. And literally, like I said, I got a little bit of scarring right there, but I'm hitting up here. The only damage is where I hit that nail. That's the only damage. Everything else, perfect. All right, so now that we have done all that stuff and just literally hammered this thing through everything I've got laying around here, we're gonna, because I tipped the tip just a little bit right there, we're gonna, this is a little bit harder wood than what I broke the tip on, but now that we've broken that little bitty skinny tip, let's see how much this thing can handle. So I'm gonna drive it in this wood. Not super far, but I mean, it's in there. I can't pull it out without some force, and we're just gonna bend her on down. All right, nothing broke that time, so we'll go a little farther. Oh, I got to disengage here. I don't want to be slamming on the back of it. And, although maybe I need to. Please excuse the doggy dog over there. That's Oliver. That's my corgi man. All right, we drove it in a little deeper. See what we get. All right, so nothing too bad. We'll go a little deeper still. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we're in there a pretty good bit. I don't know. I'm trying to see on the viewfinder what you guys can see, so I can tell if you can even tell how deep it is. But yeah, it's hard to tell. I've got this secured down. I don't want to disconnect it from the thing, but it's in there. I mean, it's in there a good, I'd say half an inch or so. I mean, you can see it wiggle the whole board. It's in there really, really good. And just for good measure, because I love Acuminous Edge and I love Scott Big Bore Williams and Steve and all my buddies out there in YouTube land and Instagram land, we're gonna go a little bit farther. Lock this baby up and pry her on down. All right, I don't feel like that. I mean, it did fine, but let's do it again. This wood is so freaking hard that you can only go so far before it feels like it just gets to where it can't go anymore, at least with what I'm using here. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, this is in there, buddy. This is way in there. Here we go. How about that? Didn't break the tip. The tip, obviously, you guys know, was already like that. Lock feels fine. Lock feels fine. Should we go one more time? I mean, I can't see a good reason why we shouldn't. I think Mark would be disappointed if I didn't go one more time. He would be, he'd probably call me up immediately and go, hey, why didn't you go one more time? Okay, I hit it a little harder that time, boys and girls, and that thing's buried up in there pretty good. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, that's tight. Oh yeah, boy. Let's see. Come on, baby. It's trying to walk sideways with me. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Here we go. No breakage, baby. No bendage. We might have the slightest bit of up and down, but nothing side to side. Still drop shut, still centered. I mean, aside from the weak tip, this thing is kind of impressive, man. I'm not mad at this knife. I'm really not. I'm not mad at this knife. I knew going into it what we were planning on doing. Test our luck one more time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I knew going into this, and so did Mark, and so did Steve, so did Corey Glasser, Bugsy Craftworks, so did Jared and Eve. I mean, we all knew going into this what to expect. I told some of them I was going to be testing it and to keep an eye out for it. And I actually chipped the edge like that, like I said, doing something dumb with it the other day when I was just starting the testing, kind of seeing what it could and couldn't do easily, so I could know how to do my testing in order, like how would it get harder and harder. And in doing that, I freaking not only broke the tip, but chipped the edge real bad. If I hadn't have tried to drive it through that stupid freaking nail and hadn't have driven it so deep into that really freaking hard pressure treated pine, I think we would have started out fresh here. But anyway, let's do this again. Just some braided copper wire. I'm gonna cut some of that. See what happens. See how it holds up.
She got out of the park.
That cut through pretty easy. Sorry for the background noise. The kids are running in and out of here. Oh, that cut's real easy. Look at at there. Zips right through it unless I put it right on that notch where I made that big notch in the edge. People are going to be panicking on there watching me do this to an expensive knife, but little do they know I can sharpen it back out. All right, we got a little bit thicker gauge wire right here that's a little more solid. Cuts it right on up. This is, compared to the knife, you can see this is some extremely thick wire, and I'm just going to go jump straight to this and pound it through there. Let's see what happens here. We'll get this in the light. You ready? Look at that. Look at that. Let's see if I can get this to focus. There we go. Yeah, it almost did. Cut it straight through. It's actually bound into the board now. Look at that.
Are you videoing it?
Yeah, of course we are, Mother. This is my mother, everybody. This is YouTube.
Hi.
Say hello.
How are you?
All right, I'm down at my stepdad's shop, my mom's shop, just doing this. We're down here letting the boys fish in the pond, so we're just beating on an expensive knife. There we go. All right. Tell you what, let's do some tip testing. How about that? Let's do some tip testing.
Hi, guys.
There it went. Broke the tip. All right, so a quick recap on what we just saw. So testing this Microtech Socom Elite in M390. Obviously you can see what happened. We had some edge damage there and a broken tip right at the very tip where it gets really thin. That is all. I think we decided we had a little bit, I don't know if even know if you can hear it. Oliver's eating a bone over here, so you probably can't hear it, but just a little bit of up and down movement. No movement side to side, because you know we got the external stop pins here. The thumb studs act as external stop pins. But overall, just a really solid knife. And I cut it no slack. I'm sure you guys, if you watch this video, you know that. I did not cut this knife any slack. I didn't hit it easy. You'll see clips in here of me hitting it with a giant steel mallet with just a little bit of orange rubber coating around it. I hit it with the backside of a screwdriver. At times I hit it with channel locks. I hit it with just about anything you can hit. Come on, boy. Just about anything you can hit it with. I chopped it through golf balls. I chopped it through copper wire that was as big around as my thumb. Cut through PVC pipe, plastic pipe, sticks, wood. Drove it into pressure treated pine. Cut it through long ways and cross grain through pine. Whittled sticks. Cut small copper wire. And then, of course, the two things, please get out from under the tripod, boy. The two things that caused damage were, crazy dog. The two things that caused damage were sticking it into that hard piece of pressure treated pine and then bending it real quick and just kind of, bam, just kind of snapped it down, and that's what broke our tip there. And then the galvanized nail, which was much harder than I thought it would be. And I didn't take into account how thin the geometry is, thin behind the edge. This knife is extremely thin behind the edge, and I didn't really consider the fact that when you have a knife like this that's so thin behind the edge and you lay it down on top of something round that has a larger surface area, and this has such a thin surface area, that could cause some problems. And so I kind of knew that it would chip the edge. I didn't expect such a large chip. I mean, it's not gigantic, don't get me wrong. That's not a big deal. I mean, it chipped it good. It got up into the, it got off the secondary bevel up into the primary bevel. And we've got some scarring right there, but that is not edge damage, just so we're clear. That is definitely not damage. It's just kind of scarred up. Still very sharp there at the tanto. But the regular, I put most of the work on this section of the edge right there, from that chip back to the ricasso there. It took it way better than I expected it to. I did not expect for it to be in as good of shape as it still is. The majority of the blade is fine. It's not nearly as sharp as it was. I had it extremely sharp. I started this whole testing process with an extremely sharp knife, so I'm not gonna sit here and go, oh, it didn't lose any edge life at all. It's extremely duller than what it was. More duller, whatever you want to say. It started this whole testing process hair whittling sharp, and it is nowhere near that. All right, guys, we are pretty much done with the Microtech Socom Elite testing for right now. It is far from over, however. The testing, I wouldn't even call it testing. I would call it major abuse. We ended up, got you guys down here close so you can see, we ended up with a little bit of rolled edge there, right there at the front of the Tonto there. You can see those little rolls. We ended up with a broken tip, which was far less broken than what I expected it to be. And then from that galvanized nail that appeared to be a terrible idea, we got that right there. And you can see there's some scarring there, a little bit there. But that's it, man. That's all the damage it took. I said we had a little bit of up and down and no side-to-side play. So very impressed. No lock stick, no lock failure. Overall, pretty impressed with it. So stay tuned on this deal, man. We've got another video coming up. The reason I got these laying here is obviously you guys know this is the DMT stones, the DMT diamond plates. The DMT plates are out here because we plan on, or I plan on rather, sharpening this knife up. And I'm gonna video that. So I'm gonna catalog how it goes with bringing the spine down and make like a reverse tonto here, and getting that out, and then also getting this chip out and getting everything cleaned up and get it back to a usable blade. Not that it's not now, but it would be far less pleasurable to use with a big giant notch in it. So, and I'm going to video that. I'll do clips so that it's not overwhelming and show you guys how to bring this knife back to good. Then we got some more things planned for it, so you'll have to wait to see what that's all about. Guest starring here is my buddy Scott Big Bore Williams, the guy that gifted me that that Ultratech Spartan. These are two of his knives. I actually carried this one today as well. This was his Benchmade. I can't remember the number on it. The yada yada blah blah something Benchmade. Carried that today for a while too. Pleased with that knife. It reminds me so much of the Bug Out. And then his Microtech Socom Elite Auto, which I love too. This thing fires so hard. So I figured might as well put it over here on the table. But that's pretty much it. Pretty impressed with the Socom Elite and the way that it did with me. And I mean, you guys saw, I said this before, I did not cut it any slack. I beat this thing as hard as I could swing. I hit it on the back of the scales, and there's hardly even any marks there. Just an impressive knife, all in all. If that tip did not get so thin up there, and if it was not quite as thin as it is down here, I think this knife would hold up to just about anything. But that's pretty much it. So it gets a thumbs up from me, man, because I gave it hell and it stood up. So stay tuned for the video coming up soon on me resharpening it, reprofiling it, getting it back to good. That is absolutely it, guys and gals. I love you. I'm out.